Your dog has been keeping a secret from you. Not the kind of secret you'd expect. This one was uncovered by scientists, and it's only come to light in recent years. Once you understand it, the way you see your dog will be permanently, irreversibly changed. Right now, in tens of millions of homes across this planet, dogs are doing something. Small things, quiet things, things that most people glance past without a second thought. But those moments, those easy-to-miss flickers of behavior, are windows into something far deeper than most of us have ever been willing to believe. Stay with me all the way through, because by the time we reach the end of this, you're going to look at your dog and see something you have never seen before. Welcome to Canine Mind. If this is your first time here, do yourself a favor and hit that subscribe button right now, because this is exactly the kind of content we were built to explore. Dogs have shared their lives with human beings for more than 15,000 years. Let that number actually land for a second. 15,000 years of side-by-side existence. 15,000 years of co-evolution of two entirely different species gradually reshaping each other. Over that span of time, the dog brain didn't just adapt to tolerate human presence. It rewired itself to pursue it, to seek it out, to need it. Modern neuroscience has now confirmed what dog owners have been quietly sensing for centuries. Dogs possess the same core brain structures that generate emotions in humans. They produce the same neurochemical cocktails. They feel things, real things, and over thousands of generations, they've developed a remarkably sophisticated set of behaviors to express those feelings to us. Today, we're walking through 10 of those behaviors in detail, and I want to be direct with you. Some of what's coming is going to genuinely catch you off guard. Let's get into it. You've probably seen this play out without ever flagging it as meaningful. You yawn, maybe you're tired, maybe you're bored, and somewhere across the room, your dog does the exact same thing. You likely assumed it was a coincidence. It isn't. Researchers at the University of Tokyo conducted a study demonstrating that dogs are significantly more likely to catch a yawn from their own owner than from a complete stranger. This is referred to as contagious yawning. And in the human world, it's treated as a reliable marker of empathy, of the neurological capacity to sense and internally mirror another being's emotional state. The evidence strongly suggests the same mechanism is operating in dogs. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. The moment your dog sees you yawn, their mirror neuron system kicks in. This is the same neural architecture that allows humans to instinctively mimic and emotionally sync with the people around them. Your dog is not simply reacting to a visual cue. In a very measurable neurological sense, they are tuning in to your inner state. And here's the detail that makes it even more remarkable. This yawn transfer effect only holds up reliably when the relationship is a close one. When dogs are tested with strangers, the response is dramatically weaker. The bond itself is what amplifies the signal. You can actually test this tonight. Yawn slowly, deliberately, and in full view of your dog. Then wait. If they yawn back, that's not a random muscle reflex. That's empathy. That is your dog, in a very literal sense, feeling what you feel. But that's just number one. What comes next may be the most striking finding on this entire list, and it involves something as simple as looking your dog in the eyes. In virtually every corner of the animal kingdom, sustained direct eye contact is a confrontation. It signals dominance, aggression, and challenge. Wolves, the direct evolutionary ancestors of every dog alive today, are no exception. Prolonged eye contact between wolves typically escalates into conflict, and yet your dog will hold your gaze, softly, steadily, without flinching. A landmark study published in the journal Science gave us the answer. Mutual gazing between dogs and their owners triggers a surge of oxytocin in both parties, the same neurochemical that floods the system between a mother and her newborn, between two people who are deeply in love. Eye contact alone, just looking at each other, produces this chemical cascade simultaneously in a human and a dog. This is, by any scientific standard, extraordinary. Dogs are the only non-human species on the planet known to have co-opted this uniquely human bonding mechanism through the process of evolution. They weren't trained into this. They didn't learn it through conditioning. Over thousands of generations, the individual dogs most capable of forming genuine emotional connections with people, including through sustained, gentle eye contact, were the ones who thrived who were cared for, who passed their traits on. The result is sitting across the room from you right now. When your dog holds your gaze with soft, relaxed eyes, they are not simply watching you. They are triggering a biological bonding process in both of your bodies at the same time. In the most literal, measurable sense, they are deepening their love for you in real time. And the mechanism runs in both directions. The more you hold that gentle gaze back, the more that bond compounds. This is one of the easiest and most powerful things you can do with your dog starting today. We're only at number 2. Keep watching, because number 3 is something most dog owners have never consciously registered, even though they've been looking at it every single day. Dogs don't have eyebrows in the way humans do, but they do have a small cluster of facial muscles positioned above their eyes that produce movements strikingly similar to human eyebrow expressions. And research has revealed that these movements aren't random, they're directed specifically at us. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences identified a muscle in domesticated dogs called the levator anguli oculi medialis. This muscle generates what's known as the inner brow raise, the same expression humans use to convey sadness, vulnerability, and the wordless plea for connection. Crucially, wolves, dogs' closest wild relatives, do not have this muscle. It developed in domestic dogs, and only in domestic dogs, over the course of thousands of years of living alongside people. What makes this even more striking is the context in which dogs deploy it. They produce significantly more of these facial expressions when a human being is actively paying attention to them compared to when they're being ignored. This is not a reflexive tic. It is a deliberate, socially targeted emotional display performed specifically because someone is watching. Why did this trait survive? Because it works on us. The inner brow raise closely resembles the facial expression of a young child communicating distress or need. Human brains are hardwired to respond to that look with care and attention. Dogs that could produce it formed stronger bonds with their human caretakers, received better care, and produced more offspring who carried the same trait forward. Your dog is making facial expressions that were shaped by evolution over millennia, specifically designed to move you emotionally. Let that settle in for a moment the next time you're looking into your dog's face. This one is worth paying close attention to, because the timing is everything. After your dog finishes a meal, observe what they do next. A large number of dogs will walk directly over to their owner. They'll press themselves against your leg, settle in beside you, or climb into your lap. And that timing after eating, not before, is not incidental. It is telling. Before the meal, a dog's brain is operating under a survival imperative. Their behavior is being driven by the need to acquire food. That's the dominant motivation in that moment. But once that need is fully satisfied, something shifts. With the biological drive removed, what's left is pure social motivation, the desire to be close to you for no reason other than you. Cuddling after a meal also carries measurable physiological effects. It releases endorphins and lowers cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone in both the dog and the person they're close to. Your dog isn't seeking warmth in some vague, generic sense. They are seeking you, specifically, in a moment when food is completely off the table as a motivation. If your dog consistently makes their way to you after their meals, treat that as one of the clearest behavioral indicators of genuine attachment you can observe in action. They've been fed, they have no remaining biological need, and the place they want to be is still right next to you. We're halfway through, and I need you to stay with me, because what's coming next is one of the most widely misunderstood behaviors in the entire relationship between dogs and their owners. Dogs are naturally territorial about things that matter to them. They guard their toys, their bones, their favorite objects with real intensity. That's baseline dog behavior. So, when your dog picks up the one item they value most, the worn-out, chew-marked, deeply beloved thing, and carries it over to drop it at your feet, you need to understand the full weight of what's happening in that moment. At a behavioral level, this is an offering. It's one of the oldest social behaviors in pack animals, the deliberate presentation of a valued resource to a trusted individual. And what it communicates is trust at its most fundamental level. Your dog is not just showing you a toy. They are handing it to you, placing it in your care, telling you through action rather than words that you are the safest, most important presence in their environment, that you are the one they trust to protect what matters to them. There's also an element of play invitation in this behavior. Dogs use objects to initiate bonding interactions. But what gives this behavior its real weight is the selection. Not just any item, the specific thing your dog values most highly. That's an act of emotional vulnerability. It's the canine equivalent of handing someone your most precious possession and saying, without hesitation, I trust you completely. The next time your dog drags that slobbery, half-destroyed favorite thing across the room and lays it at your feet, don't push it away. Accept it, because your dog just communicated something important about how they see you. Here's something that surprises most first-time dog owners once they learn it. Reaching over a dog's head to pat them on the skull is, from the dog's perspective, an instinctively unsettling gesture. Something large and unknown looming above them and making contact with the most exposed, vulnerable part of their body is not a naturally comfortable experience. Watch a dog with a stranger do this, and you'll often see the telltale signs: a slight flinch, a subtle lean away, a dip of the head. This is normal. It's hardwired. It's self-protection. So when your dog sits perfectly still as your hand comes over their head, closes their eyes as you scratch their crown, and actively leans into the pressure, that behavior is a profound declaration of trust. They are choosing to override an instinctive warning signal because their confidence in you is simply stronger than that signal. Animal behaviorists will often recommend approaching an unfamiliar dog from below a chin scratch, a gentle rub behind the ears, as a more universally comfortable form of greeting. And that's solid advice for dogs you don't know. But when your dog melts into a head scratch from you, that is earned. That is trust made visible and physical. We're past the halfway point, and the next three behaviors are the ones that are really going to stay with you. You come home and find that your dog has pulled a shirt off the couch, or dragged a sock out of the laundry pile, or burrowed into a pile of your worn clothing. Before frustration sets in, take a moment to understand what's actually driving that behavior. A dog's sense of smell is estimated to be anywhere between 10,000 and 100,000 times more sensitive than a human's. For us, scent is a layer of information. For a dog, scent is their entire emotional world. And among all the scents that populate that world, yours is the one most profoundly associated with safety, stability, and comfort. When you're absent, your dog experiences some degree of separation-related stress. The intensity varies from dog to dog, but the direction is consistent. And when that stress kicks in, your dog will seek out the thing that most powerfully carries your presence, your scent. Studies that have measured cortisol levels in dogs during their owner's absence have found a clear result. Exposure to the owner's scent produces a measurable reduction in the stress response. Your unwashed laundry is, quite literally, a source of emotional regulation for your dog when you're not there. The item they gravitate toward most strongly tends to be whatever carries the highest concentration of your scent, which is usually footwear, worn clothing, and socks. This is not a behavioral problem. This is your dog managing their emotional state through the only means available to them, the sensory memory of you, encoded in scent. They are not acting out. They are coping. The wagging tail is the single most widely recognized piece of dog body language on the planet. It's also one of the most consistently misread. A wagging tail does not simply mean a dog is happy. It is a dynamic communication system, and the direction of the wag, the speed, the height, the degree of tension in the body, all of it carries distinct and specific information. Research from the University of Trento revealed something remarkable. Dogs wag more toward the right side of their body when experiencing positive emotions, such as when they see their owner, and more toward the left when experiencing negative or anxious states. This left-right asymmetry in tail movement corresponds directly to left-right hemispheric differences in the dog brain, and it is subtle enough that it's essentially invisible unless you're actively looking for it. Beyond direction, there's a full vocabulary in speed and posture. A loose, mid-height wag at a relaxed pace is typically a greeting, open and welcoming. A slow, low wag often signals nervousness or uncertainty. A high, rapid wag paired with a stiff, tightly held body is not a welcome, it's a warning. And it should be read as one. The complicating factor is breed variation. A greyhound's naturally low tail carriage means their baseline looks completely different from a husky's curled over resting position. Understanding your specific dog's normal posture and movement is the essential starting point. Once you've calibrated to that baseline, you'll start to realize that your dog has been having detailed, expressive conversations with their tail, conversations you've been completely missing until now. You've lived this scene. You come home after a long day, you open the door, and your dog reacts like you just returned from a years-long expedition, spinning, vocalizing, full body shaking with excitement. It can feel excessive, even comical, but the science behind it is anything but. Studies that measured oxytocin and cortisol levels in dogs during reunions with their owners found something deeply telling. When you walk back through that door, your dog's oxytocin, the bonding hormone, spikes sharply, and their cortisol, the stress hormone that had been quietly elevated during your absence, drops. Your return is not just a pleasant event for your dog. Neurochemically, it is a relief event. Their system was under low-grade stress while you were gone, and your arrival resolves it. There's a cognitive dimension to this as well. Dogs experience time in a way that's tied to biological rhythms, shifts in scent concentration as the day progresses, changes in natural light, the arc of their own hunger. They can genuinely sense the passage of hours. When you come home later than usual, their anticipatory system has been running on high for longer than it normally would be. The explosion of behavior you witness at the door is the release of that accumulated, unresolved tension. You are not simply their favorite person, you are their emotional anchor. Your presence is what stabilizes their internal state. The intensity of their greeting is not an exaggeration, it is a precise, unfiltered measurement of how much they needed you back. Hold on to that the next time it happens. You stand up to get a glass of water. Your dog is already moving. You walk down the hallway. They're at your heels before you've rounded the corner. You change rooms on a whim for no particular reason. And somehow, they're already there before you've fully settled. This behavior, sometimes called Velcro dog syndrome, is one of the most universal and least understood things dogs do. And its roots run deeper than most people realize. In the wild, canine social groups move as a unit. To separate from the group is to become vulnerable. That wiring is still present, still active, in every domestic dog alive. Their deepest instinctive programming says, stay close to the one you have bonded with. Don't let that connection break. But beyond pure instinct, researchers working in the field of canine attachment theory, including scientists like Julianne Kaminsky and John Bradshaw, have demonstrated that dogs form primary attachment bonds with specific individual humans that closely mirror the attachment bonds formed between human infants and their primary caregivers. This isn't a loose or casual parallel. The structure of the bond, the way it regulates the dog's emotional state, the distress triggered by separation, the parallels are precise and consistent. Your dog doesn't follow you from room to room because they are bored, or because they're hoping something interesting will happen, or because they're angling for a treat. They follow you because you are their primary attachment figure. You are the individual they have chosen, the relationship they have built their entire sense of security around. That shadow trailing behind you at every turn, that's not clinginess. That's not neediness in any pejorative sense. That is love expressed in the only language a dog has ever needed. And there you have it. 10 scientifically grounded behaviors that your dog has been performing, in some cases every single day, to tell you something that requires no translation once you know how to read it. From the yawn they catch the moment you catch one, to the eye contact that releases bonding hormones into both of your systems at once. From the prized toy placed at your feet to the pile of your laundry they pull close when you're gone. From the eyebrow muscle that evolved specifically to move you emotionally to the way their tail wags, right when they see your face. From the post-meal cuddle to the explosive greeting at the door. From the trust embedded in a head scratch to the quiet constancy of a dog that simply won't stop following you around. In 10 different ways, in 10 different behavioral languages, your dog has been saying the same thing all along. If this video changed the way you see your dog even slightly, share it with someone in your life who has one. They deserve to know this too. And if you haven't subscribed to Canine Mind yet, now is the moment. This is what we do here. We go deep on dog behavior, on the science behind it, and on the extraordinary relationship between dogs and the human beings who love them.